Hey y'all, what's up? It's your boy Evan here. Welcome to the Cartoon Block. And today I'm going to show you my process for sketching Spider-Man using Copic markers. Dun, 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 dun. Get back here and let's get started. But before we jump in, I want you guys to download my free superhero blueprint. I designed this template to help you draw better proportions, better body structure, and better muscles. This will save you so much time and you don't have to worry about figuring things out on your own. Simply draw over my template and add a costume. Link in the description. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to be using my Copic Wide C3 marker. It's a very light marker that you can easily sketch with. I want to just get in a rough shape of his head, kind of get an outline, a general outline of the head structure, and just lightly sketch in his trap muscles, his neck, his collarbones, the shoulders. This marker is really good for just blocking in, rough blocking in rather, the shape and shadows of the figure. You don't have to be perfect because later on we can cover up a lot of our mistakes with a different marker. And so now we can move on to our C5. The C5 is a darker marker, and I want to go ahead and block in just the rough areas of where the shadows would be. So I'm not really using this marker as a drawing tool anymore. I'm now using this as strictly with like shadows and things like that. Next, we want to go ahead and grab an inking tool. For this sketch, I'm going to be using a Micron brush pen. So you don't have to use what I'm using here. Honestly, you don't even have to use the tools that I'm using in this video. You can go ahead and use whatever tools you want, but for the purposes of showing you how to sketch with markers and ink pens, I want to show you tools that you can use similar to what I'm using here. So now I'm going to grab a thinner Micron inking tool. You can use anything for his webbing. I'm using a thinner Micron 03, and I'm using it just for the webbing. Okay, now as you can see, we use the C3 and the C5. As you put those markers down, it's important to realize that those markers will get lighter on the page. They dry lighter than what they are. And since we're now using a black inking tool, the audience's eye or the viewer's eye doesn't really pay attention to where the marker lines are. And when you put down something dark like the black lines next to something that's lighter, our eyes tend to go towards the darker element that's on the page. So here I'm just using the black, Micron to put in his webbing. And you want to be sure that you go ahead and add the webbing to form across the volumetric contours of his muscles and the body. You don't want to just put the line straight down or straight across. You have to kind of envision, well, where would the lines go if this was really, if this was real life and if it was really on his body. So kind of just pay attention to that. Now I'm going to be using a C7 darker marker to add in cast shadows and occlusion shadows, and then putting in the core shadow that's on the very edge of the rim light that I'm adding on him. This really makes the image pop out more. And now I'm going back to my C3 sketch marker, a lighter value, to put in some shading and rendering on his goggles. And here I can use the C3 or a slightly darker marker to add in the very edge of the darker values. Next, I want to go ahead and grab my Jelly Roll white gel pen to add in some shines just on the edge. And this is my favorite part of the drawing, where I can go ahead and add in basically highlights on his webbing. It kind of lets the webbing have this thickness to it, almost like the Tobey Maguire costume in the first Spider-Man films. So after that, you can throw in any kind of shadow in the background. But sometimes I use my Presto whiteout to put in thicker rim light areas. The Jelly Roll is used for thin areas to put highlights in, like the webbing, but I want to go ahead and use the Presto to make it really pop off the edges. Now before we jump out of here, I want to make sure I remind you guys to go ahead, like it, and hit that notification bell, and by all means, don't forget to subscribe. And there you have it. That's Spider-Man. But real quick, I want to give a shout out to Michael Hunt for coloring my Spider-Man piece. Mike is a member in my Cartoon Block Academy. Inside the academy, you'll learn how to draw faster, better anatomy and proportions, and stronger action poses. Check the link in the description below.